1 sus4 to the 1, 1 sus4, 1. In this video, we're going to be studying how famous worship songs, the likes of Goodness of God by Sis Winans, There Is None Like You by Lenny LeBlanc, and many other famous worship songs. We're going to be studying how each of these worship songs use suspended chords so that we can generate ideas of how we can equally apply these chords in our worships, especially as a beginner. This video will be divided into two sections. The first section is going to be more theoretical, where I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about the suspended chords, their types, and how to build these suspended chords on the piano as a beginner. And most importantly, the second section is going to be more practical, where we are now going to focus on various ways we can apply these suspended chords in our worships using ideas generated from live examples of worship songs that use these chords. And with all that being said, let's get started. So what do we even mean by suspended chords in the first place? So in a nutshell, suspended chords are just simply basic triad chords in this case, in which the third intervalled notes in that triad chord have been replaced by either the second degree of the scale or the fourth degree of the scale. For example, in the case of C major, we know that this chord consists of three notes, which are 1, 2, 3, and of the interval root, third, and fifth degree of the scale. So for example, in the key of C major, if the middle notes in that chord, which is this, have been replaced by the second degree of the scale, which is this, that makes it a suspended 2. Okay, that's the sus2 chord. Also, if the middle notes have been replaced by the fourth degree of the scale, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, it makes it a suspended fourth chord. Okay, so the same principle still apply to any key, irrespective of the key. When the middle notes of the chord, or let's say the third interval in that chord, have been replaced by the second degree of the scale, it makes it a sus2. If the middle notes have been replaced by the fourth degree of the scale, it makes it a suspended fourth. Don't worry if this sounds a little bit too technical. The easiest way you can build suspended chords is just think about whenever you play any major chord, for example in the case of C, to turn it to a suspended second, all you just need to do is to shift the middle note of the chord through 2 steps towards the left. That is 1, 2, and that becomes a suspended 2. Why? To turn a major chord to a suspended fourth, all you just need to do is shift the middle note through 1 note towards the right, which is this, and that becomes a sus4 chord. So if the other method sounds too complicated, you can just use this trick to build your sus2 and your sus4 chord in any key. Now, most importantly, let's move to how these suspended chords are being used in most worship songs. Firstly, we'll see how the suspended fourth is being used in most worship songs. Then we are going to go to the sus2 chord. Now, most often, there are 2 methods of using the suspended fourth in most worship songs. The first method is by using the suspended fourth of the first chord in a certain key to resolve back to the chord 1. Okay, so for example, in the key of C major, the first chord is this. Okay, so what this means is that the suspended fourth of this chord 1 will be used to resolve back to the 1. Okay, and most often this is used when maybe a situation of a song whereby you have to stay on the chord 1 for a very long period of time, maybe like for 2 bars or thereabouts. So instead of just staying on the chord 1 for a long period of time, it can sound so boring. So what you can just start doing in this situation is playing around with the suspended fourth to the 1. Okay, so you can be doing something like this. Okay, it just gives it that extra beauty instead of just staying on the 1 for a long time. A very good example of worship song that demonstrates this is the song This Is the Air I Breathe, though it was sung in the key of F major. One sus4, the 1. 1 sus4 to the 1. 1 sus4, 1. Another famous example of worship song that demonstrates this is the song Goodness of God by Sis Winans. So it was sung in the key of G major. Okay, so at successive points, instead of just staying on the 1, they were kind of playing around with the sus4, something like this. Another very popular way of using the 1 sus4, so the 1 is at the ending part of a song. That is when the song is about to end, either the entire section of the song or maybe just a particular section of the song, like the maybe verse or chorus. So instead of just ending the song on the chord 1, most time the 1 sus4 is used to get to the chord 1. A very good example of song that demonstrates this is the song 10,000 Reasons by Matt Redman, though it was sung in the key of G major like this.
Sing like never before. I worship your holy.
Here's it.
Jesus,
so normally the song should have just ended on the 1, but they did something like this. Okay, so just to give it that extra flavor. And this is something you want to also try in your worships. The popular Christian hymn, You Are My All in All by Dennis Jenigan, also demonstrates this 1 sus4 to the 1, though in the key of F major. 6, 3, 4, 5. Here is it. Okay. Song I Just Want to Be Where You Are by Don Mon also use this 1 sus4 to the 1 pattern like this.
and I just want to be where you are, dwelling daily in your presence.
Now, the second way the suspended fourths is usually used in most worship songs is to resolve to the 5th chord. You know, this first one, we use the sus4, 1 sus4 to get to the 1, but this time around, it's going to be on the 5th degree. So in the key of C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the 5th chord, the suspended fourth of the 5th chord is used to resolve to the 5th chord, and this is used in most worship songs. A very good example of worship song that demonstrates this is the song See How Far by Victoria Renzi, though it was sung in the key of F sharp. 6, 2, 4. Now here is it. Okay, so normally it should have just been Lord, have come to worship you, which is not actually bad, but because of they use this, it's just made it much more beautiful. Okay, so the 5 and 1. The famous worship song There's None Like You by Lenny LeBlanc also demonstrates this, though in the key of G major.
There is none like you. No one else can touch my heart like
Yes,
you
it's-
do.
It should have just been No one else can touch my rats like you do. That's to the 5 and the 1, but we did like this to make it beautiful. Okay. Alright, let's move to famous ways the suspended second, which is the sus2 chord, is being used in most worship songs. The way it's commonly done is that the 1 sus2 is kept constant on your right hand over any chord on your left hand. So most time the left hand will play the progression of the song, while the right hand will just be kept constant on this sus2. Very famous example of worship song that demonstrates this is the song 10,000 Reasons by Matt Redman, sung in the key of G major. If you are with your headphones, you'll be hearing the sound properly. Okay, you'll be hearing something like this. Okay, so they are just playing around with the sus2 chord, which was kept constant over various chord progressions, something like this. And finally, another famous way the sus2 chord is being used, it can also be used to replace your triad chord in a progression. So for example, we have a simple progression made up of basic triad chords, maybe 6 to the 4 to the 1 to the 5. Okay, so what you can just start doing is you can just start replacing each of the chords with suspended chords. Okay, like sus2 chord, and you can even use sus4 chord, but most often sus2. A very common example of worship song that demonstrates this is the song Break Every Chain by Tasha Cobbs. So instead of something like this, there is power in the name of Jesus, and there is power in the name of Jesus. So we can just start replacing it with sus2 like this. There is power in the name of Jesus. See that? There's an only rising up.